That's a close encounter of the seventh kind that we talked about.
Oh my God, what is that? An anal probe?
What does it say? So technically, probing isn't really on the list.
God.
I think like the first like 5 or 6 are either seeing a UFO or an alien at certain distances. There's like everyone knows the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Or at least I hope they do. There's some people that don't. So they have Hynek scale, which is we've briefly talked about it before, which is there's just 6 things here. So what I would have seen were lights in the sky, so nocturnal lights. What Steve would have seen would have been classified as daylight discs. A lot of the ones that the government put out would be radar visual, so they have radar confirmation that they saw something. Close Encounters of the First Kind is visual sightings of a UFO seemingly less than 500 feet away. So relatively close. 500 feet isn't really as far as you think it is. The second kind is a physical effect, is alleged interference in the functioning of a vehicle or electronic devices, animals reacting weird, physiological effects like paralysis or heat and discomfort in the person that's witnessing the phenomenon, or a physical trace like impressions in the ground, scorched or otherwise affected vegetation, or a chemical trace. So Fox Mulder has a lot of close encounters of the second kind before the series ramps up. The third kind, which is the movie, is an animated entity is present, which includes humanoids, robots, and or humans who seem to be occupants or pilots of a UFO. And then they have a bunch of different subtypes, which like you can either directly see an entity either inside the UFO, outside the UFO, both. And something is observed near a UFO, but not going in or out, blah, 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 all these things. They even have one where no UFOs are observed, but the subject experiences some sort of intelligent communication. And then they made extensions, which turns into the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th kind. So the 4th kind is where somebody is abducted by a UFO or its occupants, which is what I want. Abduct me.
Watch that creepy movie. Watch The Fourth Kind on Netflix. You'll shit yourself.
Take me away. I don't want to pay my loans. All right. So that would be your dad and uncle's experience there. Cases when witnesses experienced a transformation of their sense of reality, but also includes non-abduction cases where absurd, hallucinatory, or dreamlike events are associated with UFO encounters. It even references the movie The Fourth Kind. Now, the 5th kind
Terrified me, by the way, that movie.
Yes. Involves the direct communication between the aliens and the humans. So let's see here. So
that's also in Hellier.
Yes. And then the 6th kind is a little bit weird, kind of really specific. Close Encounters of the 6th kind entail the death of a human or animal associated with a UFO sighting. So it could also be considered a severe example of a second kind encounter. Channeling alien entities, intrusion, and parasitic attachment by extraterrestrial consciousness, aka xenomorphs, chest bursters, that type of thing. Now, the 7th kind is not probing, but kind of. The creation of a human-alien hybrid, either by sexual reproduction or by artificial scientific methods. And that's it. But that's there is no mention of probing. Doesn't actually say probing. It just says.
What was the one where something dies? Is that the 6th kind?
I believe so.
Okay, do you guys know that just like cattle mutilations, they mutilate humans as well? in the same way, and they find them like in South America, they don't report it. But yes, if you Google it, it's really gross. Like half their face will be missing in an eyeball. They'll have holes in them.
Like
Yeah.
Skinwalker Ranch shit, only with people.
Yep. I believe that if you listen to some of the things that the Native Americans say in the Jeremy Corbell documentary,
Okay.
that shit's been going on there for a couple hundred years, and some of it was, yeah,
2 people.
that people would die. Yeah, they get cancers or kind of weird shit after they saw them. Yeah.
I think they're right in not telling us.
Right.
I really do.
And then you wonder if they have, you know, if the aliens, you know, maybe not all of them are good. Maybe some are good and some are bad. You know, it's like
Yeah,
us. You
I
know.
mean, they're like people. Like some are pieces of shit, and some are altruistic and noble and, you know, good, and that is highly likely, unless, you know, they're more technologically evolved, obviously. So are they more spiritually evolved? Are they more evolved in that way? You know, so that
And
maybe
you
they're
know,
not assholes?
telepathically evolved, like they can.
Yeah.
Because then
We'll
it also
never
makes
know.
me think about, like, what was it? I didn't actually see the movie. I feel like I've vicariously seen the movie through people discussing it. District 9, where the aliens come down. And what's our solution to that? Put them in a camp, because and make them do like manual labor, because we don't really know what else we want to do with them. We want to study them and use them for nefarious purposes. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, if I didn't really know anything about us and I was an outside viewer just looking at what has been happening over the past, let's say, 400 years on this planet, I'd be mortified. I wouldn't want to come here. I wouldn't want to be involved. I'd look at all of the death and destruction and just absolute rape of this planet and be like, why would I want to, why would I want to be involved with that?
Yeah, and the inhumanity of humanity.
Because they want to save us, kids.
Oh, that would be nice. I doubt it.
That'd be lovely. I'd be down.
Earlier, there were people that think that aliens might be angels or vice versa, that type of deal. Now, how absolutely diabolically mind-blowing would it be to people if they found out what we thought was religion and God and demons and angels was actually aliens this entire time, and they made the earth, they made us, they made all this shit. Like, one of the reasons why I'm kind of like into this stuff in particular, and this goes back to my dad and pop culture, because I will never stop talking about it. So I was introduced to a lot of this stuff because I was born in 96. So one of the most hopping ass TV shows at the time was the X-Files. And my parents would like just let that run all the time. I'm taking a nap. X-Files theme song comes on. I'm wide awake, just glued to the screen. Like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my whole entire life, my short life at the time. But I think what a lot of people do in movies and TV shows in regards to UFOs and aliens is super interesting, because a lot of it is based on obviously what we do already know and a lot of conspiracy theories and things like that. So I wanted to get an opinion from you guys, and which of these things do you think is like the most accurate representation of what we're currently experiencing, or what we could experience?
I don't think there's like, it's not that complicated. I think we make things complicated because we're so like brilliant and imaginative. And I don't think they're like us at all. I think they're just like, hey, what's up? You want to buy some gold? I got some cheese. You know what I mean? Like, they just probably want to trade. It's like no big deal. And we're like, whoa, they're going to cure illnesses. And they're like, hey, can we get some trees? We don't have trees at home. You know what I mean? I just think we make it all very complicated. So I'm going to go with Star Trek.
This is going to be weird, but it just, if you're just going to get a vibe off of it, off of like everything that I've read, everything I've heard, and there's a vibe it seems more thought out than that.
I'm just thinking on the very little I know about like Star Trek in general, especially now, like all the new stuff keeps going back. Like they're all prequels kind of to tell you like how we ended up here. Like if that was going to be our path and people were like, I'm going to sign up for Starfleet. How do you get people to do that? Like how long of a period do we have to like comprehend there are other things out in the universe, there are other planets, we now have a way to get to those planets and interact with these people. How do you get people to sign up for that? Like how long of a period do you have to just sit with those ideas and grasp that that's what's going on and that we now need people to get on a interdimensional space thing for the first time and go and do that stuff? Like how, like what?
I feel like there's way more than enough thrill seekers that would want to do that. I feel like there would be plenty of people that would want to do that. I just still think that they would be way in the minority as far as being able to handle, let alone wanting to be involved in what was going on. Jess's question, my answer would be what I would want it to be would be a combination of ET and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The Richard Dreyfuss one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Third Kind, right? Yeah. It would be a combination of that. Not our part in it, like the alien part.
Right.
I'd hang with ET in a hot minute.
Yeah, those are cool ones.
Yeah. So that's what I would want it to be, but I don't know. Again, there's so much conflicting information out there and there's so much cover up going on and there's so much secrecy about it. I can't even, it's like, I feel like we don't know enough to even like kind of develop a theory.
Right. Because
You know
they've been feeding us breadcrumbs on all of this stuff
Yeah.
all the time. So like one of the reasons why I bring up a lot of that, like the TV shows and movies, is because we end up getting most of our information from that stuff. Because it is, you know, dredge. They just keep bringing up the same 5 things that have happened and then reinventing them for a
Right.
bunch of different shit. Like just think about like in Men in Black, like Kay will give Will Smith this folder and he opens it up and it's just Kay standing in a field and he has flowers for his girlfriend, but he's giving them to the aliens. And it's just like, okay, so you see that, or that happens to you, and then now what? It's just this one big question of now what? So if they come out and like Amanda had mentioned earlier, and they do say, yes, this is all the declassified information that we have, this has been happening, well, now what?
To answer Jess's original question, I think the most accurate portrayal of aliens in movies is in The Fourth Kind, because you never see the aliens, and it's, I mean, when I watched it, other than that last little scene at the end, it's not a movie about the aliens, it's about the people and how they're fucked up by it. And I think that's the most accurate representation of aliens.
To answer my own question, because I don't think I ever actually did, and what I think it is and what I would like it to be, I think it really does end up a lot of the time being legitimate. Like just the past year in general, the headlines that we have seen, just on top of all of the pandemic stuff, just wildly out of left field, bizarre things that at the end, like I love the little asterisk at the end of every article with the updates. Some random stuff where it's like, why is the FBI looking into that? Why is the CIA looking into that? Their countries tag teaming issues now. That's interesting. It really ends up being like the X-Files where you get answers, but you don't.
Yep.
You get breadcrumbs and you might get one big piece of information, but you get 75% of the story, but the rest of it, you don't get to read the end, and that's it. because then they do have, I'm gonna keep referring to the X-Files because I'm a whole crazy person, but like they do have a couple of little storylines where like the whole point is they keep feeding Mulder all of these bigger and bigger breadcrumbs, and then when he finally sees something, he finally gets his concrete evidence, the rug is pulled out from under him. They're like, you're crazy, and he goes off and flips out because he's like, I had them, Scully, and they took it from me. And she's like, that's nice, dear. I'm gonna go dissect a body now. Like that's basically what we get all the time. Now, what I would like it to be is, I brought it up before, it's something else with David Duchovny in it. And it's a comedy movie, actually, Evolution, where a meteor falls from
Love
Earth.
it.
Meteor falls from Earth, and it's actually like a piece of like a planet or something that must have blown up, but it had alien life on it.
She's talking
And
about your movie. Ah.
Yep, the heat from it entering the atmosphere like reawakens the small life forms on there, and it rapid goes through evolution of life in like a week. So they go from little microbes to worms to bugs to like giant blue monkeys in the span of a week, and they just can't contain it, and the government just goes buck wild crazy and is like, we gotta nuke them. Dan Aykroyd's in it, it's fabulous, but they get it under control, and people are like, hey, aliens exist, we know how to deal with them. Cool, at least these kinds of aliens, but if they want intelligent ones to come down. So that's what I would like it to be for the science.